And we are live. Welcome back to the Not Important Gaming Podcast, tonight with Jeremy and Reed. And tonight we have a special guest, Matt. Say hi, Matt.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Reed.
This is a special episode, actually, because this is our 50th episode. Now, Reed, you made a promise a while back that on our 50th episode, you were gonna fly down to Kansas. You're gonna get really drunk, and you're gonna play Mario Party with us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I said. If not, I can't be blamed. I'm an unreliable witness.
That's what I remember.
You can't believe anything I say.
That's what I remember you saying.
Mm-hmm.
That he was unreliable witness?
Well, that's
that he would, or that
he would come down here and he would join us. But hey, it's our
totally missed nothing. I'll tell you in a second.
It's our 50th episode, and well, Reed, you're not here in Kansas.
But I'm the next best thing. I'm with you in spirit.
He's here virtually.
He is here virtually.
Literally, virtually.
We did
literally.
We did do the next best thing though, and we've actually, in a manner of speaking, we upgraded the podcast.
Hey,
check it out, guys. We got video now.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Holy crap.
Hey, thanks.
Maybe I should do this over here so I don't look like I'm just staring off into space. Oh, by the way, you totally misspelled Mordhau.
Did I misspell Mordhau? Oh, shit, I did. I did. I totally misspelled Mordhau.
Which is funny because of how I wrote about it in the notes.
There we go. Got that fixed.
I feel weird having a background and you not having a background.
Yeah,
so what were you, like your plebs? What is this?
Yeah, you are my plebeians. You see, you weren't the ones to shell out.
It's like we're both looking at you. This is very cool.
Literally and virtually.
You guys weren't the ones to shell out $50 for a green screen, so.
I got one for my Christmas, and I never used it because it's awkward to set up.
You guys can see how much I fucking drink during this podcast. I consume so many liquids over the course.
That reminds me, I have a bottle of wine. I'll be right back.
No, don't be back. We're gonna start on the show.
Okay, yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'm already back.
This is so professional.
Oh no.
Jesus Christ. So Matt, we're gonna go ahead and get into it without Reed. Okay. We'll start with we'll start with some good news here. So Matt, do you watch Summer Games Done Quick? Oh Jesus Christ. Do you watch Summer Games Done Quick, or any of the Games Done Quick events?
I've seen a couple. I haven't caught all of them.
Oh shit! I'm back. Okay.
Jesus.
Everything's fine. Nobody panic.
I really only get into it if there's like a big name or two that I'm gonna that I want to see go after each other.
What are we talking about?
Games Done Quick.
Oh yes.
Well, they're a major. They do donations for every single one of them. They do charities. They're basically a giant charity event.
So when there's two big names going after each other, Jeremy, it does bring in more views and more donations. So.
This is true. So this year, they actually just finished up. I believe it was last week. They raised $3 million for Doctors Without Borders. We got a Reddit page here detailing all of the information. Or excuse me, not a Reddit page. Wow, I'm a big dum-dum. We've got the Games Done Quick tracker here.
Nice.
Let's see here. Yep, Summer Games Done Quick 2019 donation total was $3,036,404.42 over 50,980 donations.
So basically a failure.
Yeah.
That broke their record, right? That's
I believe it did. With the max over the average donation, the maximum donation was $341,000. With the average donation being $59.56, so about the price of a new.
That's to me more impressive than any of that, because it's one thing if you you just have a couple whales that basically carry the charity, but the fact that they have like everybody is donating a decent amount really shows how much people in the speedrunning community care about this charity. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, these doctors that don't live in our borders, I mean, how many BMWs is that going to buy?
That's not quite what Doctors Without Borders is.
Basically just giving money to foreigners.
So Doctors Without Borders, yeah. what Doctors Without Borders?
It's a charity because doctors in other places aren't making as much money as our doctors, and we need to fix that. We need to give doctors more money.
What is this, Leninism or something? I don't understand.
So what Doctors Without Borders is it's a basically they go out to war zones and they help patch up civilians who have been caught in the crossfires.
They also do like vaccinating efforts in places that can't get it quite, you know, they don't have access to you know, safe places to get vaccines and stuff like that.
So it's
yeah,
really good thing.
Yes, it is. It's a very good thing. So Summer Games Done Quick, fantastic job, good work. Super excited to see they made over $3 million for Doctors Without Borders.
Jeremy, did you play Celeste?
Celeste, I did not play Celeste.
Okay, super great game. My roommate played it. I never played it because it's one of those like Meat Boy-ish, like super tight platforming. They did a task run, which is a tool-assisted run, which basically they script. They basically have a robot do the speedrun for them, but it's able to do things that no human could ever do, stuff that's like frame perfect. And that task run is jaw-dropping. It does some amazing, insane stuff. That it's a super cool run. So that's one of the top ones I would recommend. If you're gonna check it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I watched a decent amount. I annoyed the shit out of my coworkers sitting there watching speed runs all day, and they're like, "Wow, this is super dumb. Put on some music." I'm like, no, I'm watching the charity stream.
Yeah.
Sounds like your friends are dumb.
Really good. Yeah, your friends are dumb. Super dumb. Yeah.
We're not buying foreigners BMWs.
Jesus. So we get some follow-up to a story we talked about last week. So we talked about EVE last week. There was a massive NPC invasion in EVE Online last week. Matt, are you familiar with EVE Online?
Yes.
Have you played EVE Online, Matt?
I have not. I've thought about it, and then I've not. And then I've thought about it, and then I've not.
Yeah, it's a huge time sink, but I've had friends who've played it before, including someone. Well, but yeah, it's super cool. It's one of those things.
Played it?
I have not played it. None of us have played it.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things where people love to talk about it and look into it, but we'd never go in there ourselves.
Have you thought about it and then not done it, and then thought about it?
Multiple times. Every time I see it on Steam and it's free to play, I'm like, maybe I should do that again.
It's always free to play. Excuse me, by the way. Thank you.
No, it used to be paid. Yeah, because you used to be able to buy time with the in-game currency, but it took a while to get to the point where you generated enough in-game currency to basically pay to play it.
Right. But anyway, getting back on topic.
So EVE's pretty popular.
Yeah, EVE is an incredibly popular game. So EVE Online last week had this massive NPC invasion, like completely unprecedented. Usually, most of the combat is player versus player combat anymore. But after a major player versus player event, there was this huge NPC invasion with players' ships being destroyed, their homes being destroyed, their equipment, basically like entire infrastructures were devastated in the blink of an eye.
Is this like swatting?
So I mean, imagine it like this. Imagine like two of the biggest guilds in EVE. They basically, there's this big conflict, right? And they set up and they just duke it out, right? They have this big fight, and then right after both sides have, beat up on each other enough, this giant third army that's NPC, so it's not another player, it's just like this big giant alien invasion, takes advantage of their weakness and just ruins them. You know what I mean? And so now it sets up where guilds that are normally fighting each other are now working together to fight this NPC menace that's just taken over the galaxy.
It's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, and it was a huge event. Blew people's minds. Nobody was expecting it.
And now it's changed. they've changed up the game even more.
Yes, they have changed the game even more. They have the developers, CCP Games, have announced that they will be disabling local chat, which is the most commonly used intelligence tool in player-owned space. Basically, when you drop into a zone, a player-owned zone, which are called like null space, you'll show up even if you're a stealth ship. You'll show up in the local chat. Your name will pop in, so it's an easy way to quickly identify. It's an easy way to quickly identify. Oh, hey, there's an enemy player in here. Everybody needs to be on alert.
Yeah. Here's.
Do you think we'll do what they do with Dota with that? Are they going to start introducing like really like badass AIs?
I mean, I'm assuming that they are probably not like OpenAI or something like that, but I mean, it's probably more of just like the raw firepower that the enemy ships have.
Do you think an OpenAI would work with that game?
Yeah, I mean, probably, but it's just due to how Eve works. It's I don't know. It's
a different kind of game.
I mean, it probably. A long story short, probably, but it wouldn't look the same or be the same sort of situation as AI's implementation of Dota. I will say there's a good comment by the so in this is the information I got was from this Reddit post, and the guy who posted it had a comment in the thread. It said CCP, which is the developer of the game, has been very even uncharacteristically tight-lipped about all this. So they're not saying anything. Not even the CSM, which is a player-elected representative council, was briefed about these changes before they implemented them. And then they say they can only guess at their motives as to what's happening. Some people think that they're doing this to prevent stagnancy in the game, but it's really just kind of too early to tell. And that even leaves open the possibility that the changes maybe not even done yet, that this is still have yet to play out. So I'm really excited to see what's going to turn up out of this. So
yeah,
how many millions of dollars are going to be lost fighting the alien menace? Super cool.
Yeah, so that's a really cool event, and that's a big news. I always love like Eve news just because it
sounds so sci-fi, right?
Yeah. I love especially like big battles, because you hear like these headlines like hundreds of thousands of dollars were lost in a massive Eve battle, and they don't mean like hundreds of thousands like in-game money. They mean real fucking money was lost in massive conflicts in player versus player scenarios.
It's just so cool. And the backstabbing and the corporations, super dope.
Yeah, it's wild.
Cool. So yeah, we'll be following this very closely as the story progresses.
Oh, absolutely.
Stay tuned for all your Eve news from your most well-informed sources. Us, I think.
So, what's this bit here? You have Business Insider conceals the slow demise.
My spelling is so bad. Business Insider chronicles the slow demise of GameStop, and then of course I didn't include.
Yeah, I was wondering, there was like no link, so I was wondering.
Well, this has been an ongoing thing, right? With
oh yeah, no.
GameStop like catching heat.
GameStop has been dying for a while now. It's a dying business. People aren't looking for they're not looking for physical copies anymore. More and more we're seeing the game space enter digital downloads. It's just more convenient to... That's a Mordhau link read. Which we will be talking about later. We've got some stuff to talk about with Mordhau, because shit is going down between the journalists and the game itself.
Yeah. So also it's like, I think going back to the point at hand, GameStop also, I think they lost a lot of PR respect with their sort of like shady practices and how they mistreated their employees. In fact, there were like, several famous subreddits that were for GameStop employees that talked about the working conditions there and just like the overall pressure that they put them. And it really took I mean, it had the EA effect. It took gaming and GameStop from being this wholesome place where gamers could gather and talk about different video games and be passionate about their hobby, and made it into this corporate environment where they're just trying to squeeze every little dollar from their customers. And so it just really tore out the culture of that place.
I mean, it's something you see a lot with companies that are maybe not right about to die, but they're like, they see the end and they just try to milk it for all it's worth before they do die.
Oh yeah.
Well, this happened long before. This is when they really kind of went to this corporate strategy. This happened, I would say, like 7 years ago, maybe, when it started to really take a turn for the worse. And then that compounded with the switch to digital. I think really just sealed the deal. Anyway, it's a great article. We'll throw up a link in the description. I don't think that's a thing. But it's if you go and you find Business Insider, the article is titled "The World's Biggest Video Game Retailer, GameStop, is Dying. Here's what led to the retail giant's slow demise." And it's just a really great article that kind of goes along with what I was saying. Talks about the history of GameStop as it led to its downfall, and it's, oh my god, I just saw the stock price. It's not good. So, but yeah, so go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long time coming. They've been, man, GameStop has been on a downward spiral for a while now.
When was the last time you bought anything from GameStop?
Surprisingly racist. What? I'm sorry. I was reading the notes as I was talking. Surprisingly recent is what I meant to say.
Surprisingly, Jeremy, is that a little bit of a Oh, are you a Mordhau player?
I am a Mordhau player. We'll get to that later though. It's surprisingly recent, but that's just because I bought a Switch and I knew I could get a used one.
I'm gonna clip that.
But I was actually looking for another article here, so we'll go and move on to this one. CD Projekt Red confirms that they are not making 3 new Cyberpunk games. Earlier this week, there was several articles that came out claiming that Cyberpunk 2077, or Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red were making on top of Cyberpunk 2077, they were making 3 more games under that franchise. This was actually incorrect. It's you heard it first up. Fake news, boys and girls. The issue was basically it was Google Translate. So what had happened basically? Going to the article here, we got an article from TechRadar.com. Author Henry St. Ledger 4 days ago. So, most outlets were relying on Google Translate to get the thrust of, let me go back a little bit. Speaking to Polygon, the developer refuted claims that another AAA title was currently in development other than Cyberpunk 2077, with 3 teams focused on that title, 1 team working on the Witcher-based card game Gwent, and another team working on a yet unannounced mobile game. Most outlets were relying on Google Translate to get the thrust of the article, and PC Gamer has suggested there could be an error in translation, though we ran the article by a Polish speaker who confirmed the original claims. The Bankier article also hasn't been edited or pulled down, which we expect it had been turned out to be hearsay. So, the details were as follows. Polish website Bankier.pl, which reports on the business and financial sectors, reported on comments made by the CD Projekt president Adam Kaczynski, I believe that's right, on July 1st, suggesting there are currently 3 separate Cyberpunk projects in development. The first of these is naturally Cyberpunk 2077, a AAA single-player game based on the popular board game launching in April 2020. There's apparently a secondary team working on multiplayer mode, though whether the mode will be included in the main offering or purchasable separately is yet to be confirmed. And there weren't a whole lot of details about the other one. So basically...
I've yet to see how good Cyberpunk's gonna be, but just from everything shown, I have no doubt that it'll be one of the best games to come out. So if CDPR is making more stuff, that only sounds like good news to me.
So basically what's happening is this is some fake news. This is some people looking at a Polish article in Google Translate, and obviously Google Translate is the best translator in the world. So the information they got was 100% factual when they saw that there were going to be three Cyberpunk games, not just one. No, the truth is there's only one Cyberpunk game being made right now. The other teams are working on Gwent and an unannounced mobile game, as stated in the article. However, they did say that a Cyberpunk sequel is not out of the question if Cyberpunk 2077 does well.
I mean, that's like saying the sky is blue, right? If this thing makes a lot of money, we might do it again.
Yep, I figured that was a given. So there you go. Answer. Just a little bit of information there. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like non-news news, right? It's like, hey, this thing might be a thing, but it might not.
Right.
You know.
That was more just to clear up some fake news that had come out recently. I saw that some of my favorite news outlets had not run retractions or anything like that, so I figured if they weren't going to, we'd be the guys.
I'm into it. Cool. What's up next? My Mon Capital.
Let's talk about Shenmue.
Oh, Captain. Shenmue.
Matt,
or like move over to a different gaming platform because you don't have a choice. Stupid Steam users.
Matt, are you familiar with the Shenmue franchise?
I'm not.
It's
I don't even know what Shenmue is.
So. It's a really bizarre franchise. With a game, it's like this weird like semi-simulation, semi-Viznov. There's so much that like the game is, and it's a really bizarre franchise. I don't even know how to describe it honestly, but people like.
It's like a story game, right? Like, I don't even...
Yeah, it's a story game. One of the most controversial bits is that there is a, I believe it's a 4-hour walk, like, in real time. You actually have to spend 4 hours going on a hike with a girl in the game.
Oh?
It's the most fucking bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Is it like a real girl?
No, it's a video game girl.
Real girls don't exist, Matt. You know that.
Well, I bet maybe not.
Wow, this got way too awkwardly quiet, way too fast.
I don't even.
I really hit a nerve. I'm sorry.
I don't even know how to respond to that. But for whatever reason, it's an incredibly popular franchise. Like, I have no idea why people like it. I don't understand it. I'm not going to try to understand it. I'm just here to report the news. But Shenmue 3 was recently kickstarted, and well, it wasn't recently kickstarted. It was kickstarted a while back. What recently happened was that it was confirmed that they would be the newest Epic exclusive, and a lot of people were really mad about that. We covered this story a few weeks ago, I believe, and people were demanding refunds. Well, now it's been confirmed that the developers are, as a matter of fact, offering refunds for any backer that wishes it.
That's very epic of
So we've got this. It's YS.net is the name of the developer. I'll give you kind of a short excerpt here from their statement. They have a full page here explaining everything. They're saying, "Hello everyone. Regarding the recently announced Epic Game Store exclusive, all of us here at YSNet, Deep Silver, and Epic are taking the matter with utmost concern and would like to clarify the circumstances leading to the decision and offer backers options moving forward. In response to backers who have requested Steam keys for their rewards, we discussed offering the keys on the day of release. However, coordination with the sales policies of involved companies was untenable, and as a result, we are not able to make a day one distribution option for Steam keys available. That we were not able to offer Steam keys for Kickstarter rewards at the time of the game's release is a great disappointment and inconvenience for those backers who were expecting to receive them. We deeply apologize for the unrest caused by the announcement. Concerning refunds, along with Deep Silver and Epic Games, we have agreed that should the above proposal not be acceptable to backers, and they have a big detail about what they're willing to offer in exchange for not having Steam keys. So along with Deep Silver and the Epic Games, we have agreed that should the above proposal not be acceptable to backers, refund requests will be honored. Details concerning the refund request process will be announced in a following update. We ask for your patience until that time. We have a little bit more information about this.
So, can you still get a Steam key, like, non-day one?
Yes, I believe this is only a timed exclusive. It will eventually come to Steam. But,
but I mean, how soon, right? So it's like, if I'm a Kickstarter backer, how long do I have to tell you?
I know we covered this, but I couldn't tell you offhand.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe it was.
Also, I'm feeling like pretty sketch, right? So it's like, oh no, we can't get it on Steam. So if you want to play the game, you're just gonna have to use our service. Like, part of me wonders how, like, I don't know if they just said they couldn't do it, right? You know what I mean? Just the force.
They couldn't get it on Steam because they're exclusive on Epic now. That was the only reason.
Well, no, but they said because of like their sales stuff, they couldn't get Steam day one keys. They said that they wanted to, and they've done that with other games in the past, right? Where it's like if you, I can't remember what it was, but there was another crowdfunded game that they just gave. No, I remember what it was. It was Metro, right? Like, if you bought the game on Steam, you could play it on Steam and on Epic.
You're correct.
You know what I mean?
You're correct. Well, we got the statement from Tim Sweeney at Epic. And what he says is, as far as we and our partners can determine, Valve policy prohibits providing Steam keys for games that aren't going to be available at launch on Steam. This would make it impossible to deliver Steam keys for a game releasing exclusively on Epic at launch. The difference...
They did that for Metro, though.
Well, the difference between Metro and this was, those weren't Steam keys on Metro, those were pre-sales directly from Steam Store. And Valve was the one offering to honor the sales.
Oh.
Yes.
So if it's an Epic exclusive, does that mean it's also not going to be available on PlayStation now?
No, it will be.
Service?
It will be available on PlayStation. So what they have here is their response policy. The team would like to offer the following: version availability is PC physical package disc plus EGS key, a PC digital EGS key, a PS4 physical package of the disc, or a PS4 digital PSN voucher code. So you can still get it on PS4. It's only on PC, but it's an Epic exclusive.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, the streaming service is something you access through your PC.
Oh, I see.
Streaming service.
If you have it on your PlayStation, you'll still be able to play it through the streaming service because you're not technically running it on your PC. You're running it on your PlayStation and streaming it to your PC.
Well, with the PlayStation Now service, you don't actually have to have a PlayStation to use it. Like, I just subscribe on their PlayStation website, download the streaming software for PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and then I can just pick whatever game I want to play. I pay $18 a month, and I can just use my PlayStation controller here hooked up to my PC. I don't even own a PlayStation, and I can play any PlayStation game mainstream.
I follow you. In that case, I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't know.
I just didn't know like how far Epic's exclusivity for this stretches, I guess.
Yeah. It is epically not cool.
Yeah.
Like, they're refunding the backers, but it's like, I mean, if it wasn't for you, Epic, they would have their game. And so now the people that really wanted to play this game and paid money to support, they don't get that game anymore.
Yep. Well, the good news, at least, is that Epic is the one funding the cost for all the Kickstarter refunds. So that will not reduce YSNet's development funding, which means they will still be able to make the game they promised to all of the Kickstarters who are not asking for refunds.
Well, think about all the people who... I mean, how long has this been going on, right? It's been in development for quite some time.
Yeah.
So, like, all that money... Like, let's say if somebody donated, like, $1,000 to develop this game, right? And they haven't had access to that $1,000 for, like, forever, right? So all the time that, I mean, like, they've not had their, I don't know, like, from the economic side, I don't know. It's all fucky. It's super.
Yeah.
They're supposed to get more than $1,000 return on their investment. I mean, they were investing in a game, and they also were supposed to get like a piece of that game, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I don't think it was like Fig or anything like that. Like they didn't get money from an investment.
Okay.
But I mean, they would have gotten something major. I don't know. No, I mean, maybe they'll still get their. Do they still get their Kickstarter benefits?
If they ask for a refund, honestly I can't tell you at this point. That is beyond me. That's beyond the scope of this the statement that was made. And I mean, honestly, like they said, the refund policy. They said that more information was going to be coming later.
I guess in a way, the Kickstarter did work because the game is now.
The game is coming, and it's going to be coming as promised. It's just, mostly as promised. It's just no longer
gobbled up by a giant.
Yeah, it got eaten by Epic, which we've been seeing more and more of.
Anything that might be a success, they throw a ton of money at. And then...
I want this to be over, right? Like Epic is just, they know what they're doing and they keep pushing the boundary of what's acceptable.
It's never gonna be over. They've already made their statement. They've already said what their stipulation to stop taking those is.
They're saving video games. Don't you hear me?
They're the heroes of video games. I mean, to be fair, the fact that they are paying out the refunds at least shows some degree of good faith. I'm not saying they're completely devoid of blame, but
I mean, that's like assaulting somebody and then paying them for their time after the fact. It's like, I would just rather not be assaulted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't know that I would compare this to assault. That's
here we go again.
I mean, like,
don't get me started on assault.
Yeah,
I'm fired up.
We'll think about like,
hey, we actually have you on stream.
Runs their grocery car into my car and puts a huge dent in it, and they pay for it. It's like, great. Wish you wouldn't have run into my car in the first place.
Well, yes, but I mean that is the proper channel when you run into somebody's car. You have to pay for it. That's what court proceedings are for.
Well, that's what used to happen, Jeremy. Yeah. But now, if somebody does that, Epic swoops in and just buys your car.
They just buy the whole car.
What's happening? It's like those weird commercials where somebody snaps their fingers and, oh, Epic's bought your car.
Oh my god. But yeah, no, I don't know there's much else to say about this.
Just watch your character do yoga under some guy's legs before you shot him in the ass.
Yeah, this game's fucking awesome. I love it.
Alright, well, enough shit. I don't know. I still am frustrated by Epic's stuff, but I also haven't converted. I haven't even downloaded Epic's thing yet, so...
I have it, but only because I'm trying to learn Unreal Engine. So...
If I could scream, I would.
I don't know. If the one thing that would truly enrage me above all else, if Epic bought Psychonauts 2 like exclusivity rights,
you should have said that.
It's gonna happen now. It's gonna happen.
I would go nuclear. I would be so upset.
Well, at least
and then I would get Epic's Game Store to get the game.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to one of our big topics. Do you want to talk about EA or do you want to talk about Mordhau?
EA is always fun. Let's go shit on them.
Sure.
I really didn't mean this to be a big story. It was just like a small little thing that I just wanted to point and laugh.
No, fair enough. So we got this statement from EA saying, I struggle with the perception that we're just a bunch of bad guys. So this is an article from Games Industry Upbiz, which, wow, we pull a lot of stuff from them. This came out on Tuesday from author Christopher Dring. And the subheading is, behind the big blockbusters, EA is offering very friendly deals for indie developers. EVP Matt Bilby tells us why. So,
right off, just kind of, overall, it's just kind of like a feel-good piece.
Is it though?
I mean, that's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do.
Right? It's like EA is like, well, we've got all this money now, and we have lots of money. All right, so we have lots of money, which is good, but we have bad PR, which is bad. So we need to convert a little bit. We want to have a lot of money, but a nice amount of PR. So we're just going to take a little bit of that money, boop, and we're going to spend that in a way that gets us good PR. How can we do that? Ideas? You know, we could try making good games and not being so predatory. And throws him out a window. Next idea.
Is that fucking meme?
Well, let's just throw some money to this. People like indie games, right? So let's throw some money at some indie games, and then you know, we'll pretend to be the good guy, right? Yeah. I love it. Jessica, you're always the person with the ideas. That's how that went down.
So, let's. There's one particular quote that I want to focus on, and this is kind of the crux of at least what I find to be the issue with EA and their constant. They're constant blaming the players and constant blaming the consumers. So the statement is, 25 years at EA and I still struggle with the external perception that we're just a bunch of bad guys, says Matt Bilby, EVP of Strategic Growth at EA. We love making and playing games. Unfortunately, when we make mistakes on games, the world knows about it because it's of a size and scale. They're saying, as we got bigger, there's a concern that we had become disconnected with new talent coming through. Bilby admits, EA Originals is our opportunity to connect with the talent and those smaller ideas. When you're part of a bigger company, it's too easy to fall into the trap where when you see a game concept, it has to be big. The notion of actually coming with small and unique game ideas, we know from the work that we've been doing on our subscription business that gamers will play FIFA or a Fortnite. They have one main franchise, but then they want breaks in those games to play something that's maybe 5 or 10 hours long. So,
real quick, Jeremy, is a FIFA a sandwich of some kind?
Oh my god.
It sounds pretty good. I have not eaten dinner. So. I mean, it sounds like something that could feed an entire company and like help it stay alive.
So
that's what they're sending to the Doctors Without Borders. They're sending them FIFA sandwiches.
They're sending them FIFA.
So they can buy their BMWs.
So the issue is, they're saying that the reason they have the bad PR, why everybody thinks they're the bad guys, is because of their size. Because they're a big guys. We're a big company. We're the big guy. Stop beating up on the big guy. That's the only reason you don't like us, is because we're a big company.
Pick on somebody your own size who's much smaller.
Stop saying and that's bullshit, right? My complaints with this is multifaceted, because that's my first bit that I'm mad about, and then I'm mad about them saying that everybody thinks that like the games have to be big. They have to be big open world. They have to have like massive budgets. They have to be like the biggest possible game. And no, you're the people who made that a thing. You're the motherfuckers who every time like a popular game comes out that maybe not the biggest, maybe a little BioWare title called Mass Effect. Mass Effect was not a massive game. It didn't need to be. But then you showed up and you went, oh no, gotta be a big game, gotta have a big open world, gotta have all these popular shooter conventions, and we get shit on when it comes to the ending of Mass Effect 3, and we get shit on when it comes to Andromeda. The reason that gamers have the perception that games need to be big to be good, the casual gamers, is because of you motherfuckers. So, yeah. I don't want to fucking hear it when you go, oh, well, not every game has to be big. Why do you guys want big games all the time? Why don't you want these neat little indie games that we make? We do want the indie games. We want you to stop fucking squeezing your companies, your developers dry to make these massive games that they don't have the knowledge or the resources or the desire to make.
Yeah, it's not about the quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a year's time, who's going to be a bigger video game villain, EA or Epic?
Sega.
Bold prediction.
That's a
bold prediction.
That's a hot take.
I'm really joking. So if it happens, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. But they're talking about this entire article, like you said. It's like a fluff piece. It's feel good. We have EA Originals. Don't you like EA Originals? Don't you like all these neat little games that you make, like A Way Out? Yes, I do like A Way Out. A Way Out's a really good game. Make more of those.
I don't think Sega's gonna make any games that don't involve Sonic the Hedgehog. Like it's gonna be open world Sonic the Hedgehog,
Oh, no.
like RPG, and then action RPG, and then like a linear like Metal Gear Solid Sonic the Hedgehog, and then like a Mario Kart Sonic the Hedgehog.
They already,
Zelda
oh no, they already have a Mario Kart Sonic the Hedgehog. That's a real
that's right.
thing.
Yeah. See?
Honestly,
Anyway, I'm just messing with
Yeah.
Sega. I like Sega. I'm just saying, what else do they have other than Sonic right now?
Yeah. So I've been talking a lot here.
I love it.
Let me.
Well, the big corporations
Yeah.
get you fired up.
What do you guys have to say about this?
I mean, I don't know. It's at this point, it's just like it's hard to find the will to care, right? When something's so big, you feel like I don't know. It almost breaks your will to even care about something because you just I don't know. It's just I feel like I could spend my emotional energy in a better, more productive manner than worrying about something like that big. And I know it's kind of like a lost or it's like a fallacy, right? Of like, well, my input won't change anything, so why even bother? But I don't know. That's how I feel about this. Whenever I see something about EA, I just feel like, what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I just resign myself to let the market decide, right? So if EA is gonna keep being shitty, eventually they'll pay the price. As what happened to GameStop, right? So eventually EA will have their GameStop moment, and they'll eventually crumble under their fucking moral corruptedness. And yeah, as soon as they lose that fucking FIFA money, like they're gonna fucking hemorrhage money, and they won't know what to do. That's the only thing sustaining them. So that's my 2 cents.
Matt, what do you got?
I mean, I really agree with Reed, but I think Reed represents how a lot of people feel. So, but another part of me.
That's right. Reed is the voice of a generation.
Bitch, you know it.
Another part of me is the selfish gamer that didn't grow up thinking about the politics involved in it and just wanted a good game. And if a shit company that usually makes crap games squeezes out a good one, I'll be happy with it. Deep down in my little gamer soul, I'll be happy with that good game that they finally squeaked out, regardless of who the company is.
Yeah.
And the moral side of me will be like, man, these people suck. God, this game's good.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate paradox, right? Because
it is becoming easier though, because they haven't made any good games in a long time.
Yeah, no, Skyrim was the worst. Oh, wait, that was.
No, they didn't make Skyrim. What are you talking about?
I just had to get. I was just seeing if I could.
Shots fired.
Yes.
Shots fired. No.
I like.
That's.
I know it's like one of your favorites, so I had to, like.
That is the ultimate. That is the ultimate like paradox, though, right? At least in gaming, where you want
Fallout
to.
76 made me worry about Bethesda. That's all I have to say.
You have to deal with this perception of like I want to never buy from bad companies again because I want to teach them a lesson. But then they release a good game, and I'm like, well, I also want to encourage companies to make good games.
You know what we'll see with Bethesda, like what really their future holds, I think, if the new Starfield or whatever it's called turns out to be a really great game. I think that maybe that's like a shining light for the future of Bethesda. I mean, they still bring out other good games too, but I feel like they're like walking the line. Do you guys feel like that? Like they're walking this line?
It could be
I've been
that they
saying
just
this.
lucked, that they're bad developers and they just lucked into making good games this entire time. That's an entire possibility. And if they fuck up Starfield, then maybe that's more indicative of them as a development company.
I don't necessarily think that Bethesda's bad. They're bad developers. I think that they become complacent. Specifically,
Doom was made by id, not by Bethesda. It's okay. You can. I'm just kidding.
far be it from me to withhold
Am I hearing this right? Is Jeremy being a Bethesda apologist right now?
So, far be it from me.
What kind of upside down world are we in?
There are games that you like, Jeremy, right? That Bethesda makes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Far be it from me to withhold shitting on Bethesda, but I don't think they have too good of a past library to just be bad developers.
Is it just me, or is it really, when we say that, it's really just like 3 games? Fallout 3, Skyrim. Oh, I guess then there. So 4 games: Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and
Fallout 3.
Fallout 3. Oh, and well, Fallout 4.
Well, they made shooters too, right? What was the? They have shooters.
No, they don't. That's their entire library. I'm pretty sure is.
Just they publish
Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
No, they publish the Wolfenstein games.
Well,
those are made by other people, right? Or do they own the developer now?
They don't. They don't own the developer. I believe. Well, I'm not sure honestly. I don't want to speak too.
Well, they
too
published
brashly
Doom.
about that. They did publish Doom. You're right. They publish very good games. It's their development studios that are the issue. And so you say that's only 4 games, Reed, but that's over 50% of their entire library.
Maybe it's just the curse of having a hit.
I know, but those are all just kind of feel like the same game, right? With a better graphics polish.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess.
I mean, they make those games and they make them well. I enjoy them. I love.
I'm fine with that concept if they continue to improve in some way. The problem is, and what I was trying to say earlier is they become complacent.
Yeah.
Is my issue is they went, well, shit, people like Skyrim, so we'll just make more Skyrim. And they haven't bothered to try to improve since then. The reason that Skyrim was so popular was because it took what was good about Oblivion and what was good about Fallout 3, and it made it better. They added more things. They made it more interesting.
Now this is the developer's dilemma, right? Where it's like, if you make something that's successful and you're making something new, and you ask the question is, how much do you change the sequel or the follow-up? You're damned if you do or damned if you don't, right? So it's like people don't want them to innovate or do something new with like the Fallout series, and then they make Fallout 76, and granted they did that in a poor way, but a lot of people were saying when Fallout 76 came out, it's like, why didn't you just make it like all your other ones? Why did you try to change so much? So they gambled, they tried to do something different, and they fucked up. Now, granted, a lot of the issues of Fallout 76 with the bugs and all that, and that's
from my experience, they would not have received near as much vitriol for Fallout 76 if they hadn't pulled such shady bullshit surrounding it.
Yeah,
like it was.
That's and that also ties into the PR.
It was.
It's almost like EA took over their company.
It was a garbage game, but. Yeah. So much of what happened was because they were so scummy about it. It wasn't because it was a bad game. Bethesda fans have shown time and time again they will apologize a buggy game, or they will forgive a buggy game. But when you release a game that's a buggy mess and then treat your consumers like a walking mullet on top of that, that's where the problems start to arise.
Yeah. I think another saving grace with Bethesda for me is that I feel like they really care about just the computer and tech culture, because they allow the customers to mod the games how they want. And
I don't think that's.
You can personalize it.
I don't think they're doing that because they respect the consumer and tech culture. I think they're doing that because they know that it extends the life cycle of a game.
Maybe, I guess.
I don't know. It's kind of hearsay to say either way, though.
It is.
Elder Scrolls game did it start? I mean, it was there with Morrowind.
It was.
I can't imagine that they were thinking about it like that.
Not at that time. No, you're right. Not at that time. I don't think back in Morrowind they were thinking about that. I think they were thinking at that time like, oh yeah, we've got this toolkit. Let's just put it out for people to play with. But I think now, at this point in time, it's not about, oh, let's let the consumer do it. If it were about, oh, let's just let the consumer do what they want, they wouldn't have attempted the community marketplace shit. They wouldn't have tried to implement paid mods.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, this is the apologist argument, and it says get a negative connotation. But hypothetically, that was done to pay back the people who created those mods, right? The idea from Bethesda's perspective was they wanted to make money for the mod developers.
That
they did it in a bad way. I don't think that was
yeah.
the best thing they could have done, but for people who pour in hundreds of hours in developing some of these mods, I mean, some of the biggest ones took thousands or tens of thousands of man hours to develop. I think they should be compensated for their work.
I agree.
If they want it. If they want it.
How they did it was wrong.
If they want the compensation, then yes.
I agree, but that argument would only hold up if the mod makers, like the real, like serious ones, hadn't explicitly said, we don't want this system. If you want to pay us, donate to us.
Not all the I mean, those people didn't necessarily speak for all mod makers.
That's true.
Some people did it just sheerly out of love for the game, which I can totally respect, but I can understand the idea of trying to make it into a marketplace, right? So, because then you incentivize more people to get into it. So if people want to be in the marketplace and make those mods for free, they can still do that. But if other people want to do that and make it a job, then I think that's great, because then everyone benefits, right? Because then mod makers get paid, the people who use the mods get more content. It's supposed to be a win-win for everybody.
But the problem is that what it actually incentivized was low effort mods. I mean, the famous example is the horse genitalia mods.
Yeah, but that, I mean,
like the fact that was
you could pick that out, but I mean, like that it was so fresh and new that the market hadn't had a chance to stabilize, right? So it's like no one's gonna pay. I mean, really, like, is anybody really going to pay money for those mods, right?
Yes, people did. That was the issue.
Fine, then let the market... If people want horse genitalia mods, then let them fucking pay for those goddamn mods. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's doesn't hurt anybody. You know, if they want to pay for it, then that's their prerogative. Like, how does that hurt anybody else?
It floods the market with low effort mods like that. And yes, you're right. People can buy what they want, but you don't have these low effort, like, basic mods.
What's the problem with there being low effort mods?
It hurts.
I mean, the only problem is that it's hard for quality mods to become visible in the marketplace.
Right, and that's a serious
problem with the marketplace UI. But it's the beginning of the.
That's a serious problem.
The market hasn't stabilized yet, though.
But that's
so it's like so an ideal situation, if you let it progress, hypothetically, you let it progress, then the shitty low effort mods, ones that are worth being kept around, they get paid for, and those developers keep making those mods. The ones that are put out, like, people don't want to spend time making low effort mods and then not being paid, so that'll eventually die out, and then the consumers will vote for their wallet. They won't buy anything, you know what I mean? And then eventually high quality mods, what the market wants, will rise to the top. If there's a real problem, then maybe the company needs to step in and reorganize their marketplace and how the viewing system works. But
I felt maybe Bethesda felt like they were losing a little bit of control of their product, possibly. I don't know, but I felt like the mod community was like food. You know, it's like buy us for us.
Yeah. If they would have, I mean, maybe if they would have, what do you call that? If they curated the mods a little bit at the beginning, just to get it started, maybe it would have gone better. Then you don't have that low effort modding thing. And then you don't have the low effort culture.
I think monetizing it generally ruins it, because look how great it was without monetization.
Yeah, but between that and the fact that you couldn't opt out, you couldn't make free mods, which is what a lot of major modders wanted.
Whoa, explain that a little bit.
The reason that people were speaking out about that was the fact that when they were making these mods, like if they wanted their mod on the Steam marketplace, they had to charge for it. Basically, Bethesda had a set minimum price that you had to establish, because the ultimate reason
they wanted it to be in the ecosystem.
Yes, yes. I mean, you could still download the stuff off of ModDB, but then you're not reaching your maximum potential player base.
Yeah, but that's an issue with like implementation, right? That's not an issue with paid mods being bad.
Right.
Like, to me, the worst thing that came out of all that is that people stole free mods and put them up there.
But,
and they tried to take someone else's work and claim it as their own. Like, that was the worst thing out of that whole situation.
I agree.
But the idea of paid mods being inherently bad, I think, is wrong. I think paid mods can be good.
So I don't think paid mods are inherently bad. If you want to charge for your mod, absolutely, you're more than welcome to do that. I don't agree with forcing modders to charge for their mods, especially when a lot of them are only doing it as a hobby and have specifically said, I don't want that pressure, I don't want to...
I get frustrated when I see people when they like drag Bethesda over the coals for the whole paid mod situation. When I mean, like,
no.
The idea isn't bad. It was the implementation that was bad. And I think a lot of people get that.
But I think
a lot of people didn't take time to research and understand the situation before they started bitching.
Well, and to me, it was perceived as, "Hey, this is really successful. We want a piece of it."
That's exactly what the issue was. My issue is not if it was just, "Hey, we're going to implement like a central marketplace that you can charge your stuff, and if you don't want to charge anything, dope, great." But the fact that they explicitly charge for, or the fact that they explicitly said you have to charge if you want to be part of the Steam marketplace, tells me everything I need to know about the intentions of that system. It wasn't about the modders.
Yeah.
It was about how much money can we make off of this.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't true, that's how I saw it. I mean, I didn't even. It was a huge turnoff to me. Like, I was just like, why are they messing with this? This is our thing. We don't charge each other for it. It's like trading baseball cards or something, except for it doesn't take 1,000 hours to make a baseball card. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was ours, and it was something that we made for ourselves because we liked the game so much. And then they tried to turn it into something bad.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with allowing a way for a modder to charge for their mods.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
It has, like I said, it has everything to do with the intentions as opposed to the system itself.
I can agree with that. Yeah. I think this is a really great discussion, but in light of time, I think we should maybe move on. I feel like we all kind of came to an understanding.
I agree.
Unless anybody else has something else to say. I understand what you're saying.
So yeah, let's move on.
I'm not ready to let it go.
Can we talk about something that I want to talk about?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's on a little bit hype for me. I don't. If you click, so you onto the second link or the second subject of news, Jeremy, the one that I'm obviously excited about. There's a link there. There's a graph that would be really cool if you could put it up on the screen, because I think it really just kind of visually shows this topic.
Sure, hold tight.
It's on that page. You just have to scroll down a little bit and wait for it to populate. So the news that I want to talk about is related to one of my favorite games. Matt, can you guess what that game is?
Fable.
No, it's not Fable. Actually, I just realized, Matt, you probably don't even have the link to
Dota. No, I have it up. I'm just not looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Connection timed out. I think the site's down.
Dota.
No, I'm
either Dota or Fable.
One it right now. I'll post it into.
Well, it's Dota then.
I'm posting it into. Yeah, it is the Dota. I'm posting it into the Discord chat.
I feel like if R2D, not R2D, but C3PO would have had a game that he liked, it would have been.
Why?
Because he would have been able to explain it to you.
Yeah.
And in his voice, in any language.
I guess I'm stalling for too much to overhype, but basically, the big news is that I was a little bit surprised, but the prize pool for the International 2019 Dota Super Bowl surpassed last year's prize pool with weeks and weeks to spare. We're on day 60 now. We have about 50 more days left for money to be raised. I mean, you could look at the huge.
How do they raise money?
So what they're basically in-game items and things that you purchase, and portions of those purchases go towards the prize pool. There's what's like the Dota's Battle Pass, and you get a lot of in-game items and in-game cosmetics and taunts and a whole bevy of stuff that kind
You
of
get to keep
really,
them.
yeah, a lot of them you get to keep. Some of them are just kind of seasonal, but there's a lot of content to the point where I really feel you kind of get what your money's worth.
There's
And then any extra money you spend
What
goes
percentage of the donation goes to the?
25%.
goes to the Doctors Without Borders for their.
No, not to Doctors Without Borders, just to the prize pool.
There's some
Only
pretty
25% goes to the prize pool.
Yes, but guess how much what the prize pool is at right now.
Well, right, but why? Only 25%. I mean, I know you.
Well, okay,
but, like,
because
I'm
a lot of the money goes to running the tournament itself. They're
Oh,
being
okay, so
run...
this finances everything.
Yeah, it finances
Okay.
renting out the stadium. This year they're renting out the biggest stadium yet, which is in Shanghai, China, and paying, like, they paid for ESPN's Monday Night Football crew, the same video production company that runs Monday Night Football, to do all the videography. And I mean, it's a very professionally presented tournament, and if you watch it, it's
Okay.
really
I didn't
looks
realize
like
that all the money goes to.
I mean, sure, a
tournament
lot of
itself,
it
but
probably
I mean,
also goes to.
That's awesome.
I mean, I imagine quite a bit also goes into Valve's pockets, but that money probably is used to develop the content of the Battle Pass, to pay for the game itself. It's a pretty big deal.
Cool.
Yeah, no, there's some pretty significant spikes here. Day one, obviously, there's going to be the biggest spike. But the one I'm most curious about is day 51 here. Is just this massive spike.
There's an interesting bit of controversy. I can call it controversy, but basically, during the Steam Summer Sale, they said, "Hey, for this weekend only, you can pay I think like $30, and you get like a shit ton of levels and a bunch of extra chests, which are like loot boxes that give you a chance of getting these different items." Now, keep in mind, like most of the items you get automatically. So if you get an item before, you don't get that item again. So eventually, you're gonna get all the items as long as you get, like, if there's like 7 normal items in a chest, and you have 7 chests, you're gonna get all of them. Which, if you get a normal battle pass, you pretty much hit that right away. But then there are like rares, and as you open up each chest, you get a higher increasing chance, and you can actually look in client to see what your odds are of getting those rare items. Which I think
that's a very nice way of explaining how it's not a bad box thing.
It's as little bad as possible. I'm not complaining because I got 2 rares last night.
And saying the fact that they're being very open and it's explicitly like, hey, we're funding the international. Like, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, because as far as I see it, like buying those loot boxes, you're not paying to gamble on a loot box. You're paying you're paying to donate for an event, and you're getting something out of it.
And you're not just getting loot boxes. I couldn't even list off all the features, even if I had like 30 minutes. There's like,
Are we
so
being
much
politically
stuff.
correct here? They're not called loot boxes anymore, right? They're called surprise incentives.
Surprise mechanics.
No, surprise mechanics. Yeah, but I didn't even get to the
these
story.
things mixed up.
The reason why there's that huge spike isn't because they had that, one time, like, and it was like limit 1 per person, but there's an exploit you could do for like a little bit where you could buy that multiple times. And so a lot of people were joking basically by saying, like, Valve, they're like, "Oh no, you found this exploit," and then people proceeded to buy like 4 different things, because like if you get to a really high level, there are like some really rare incentives that you can get. And so that's
how much have you donated? Have you donated quite a bit?
I about $60.
I mean, did you get things that you were hoping?
I got a lot. Oh yeah. You because you feel like you're getting your money's worth. Is kind of how it feels like. So, yeah, it's maybe I'm just conditioned, right? I'm a fucking sheep. Who knows? But yeah. So it hit its record. There's still more than 50 days left. Some people are thinking, and also there are other spikes that traditionally happen. So sometimes people will see, as the time period goes on, there are different tiers of like the loot boxes, right? So you get like a handful of the different tiers, but the higher tiers are fewer and fewer, and they haven't revealed them all. So they reveal the first tier at the beginning of it, they reveal the second tier later on, and they reveal the third tier. So they only so when that spike happened, they hadn't even revealed the second tier. So there's still so much more ground to cover before the time the fundraising part is up. And yeah, so a lot of people think that it might even hit the 30 million mark. So that's why Dota has always had the biggest prize pool in esports history for the last like 5 years or so. So it's been pretty nuts.
Yeah, no, that's definitely really cool stuff.
The other bit of controversy, I mean, there's still a bit of controversy in the community right now because a lot of people feel that because the prize pool is so heavy for one tournament, it kind of fucks up the esports scene. Like there are majors still throughout the tournament, like throughout the year, but the majors have prize pools of a couple 100,000, and some of the premier ones have like a prize pool of $1 million to $3 million, which is still like really small potatoes compared to the international. And so sometimes teams will play in a way that, or they'll like fuck up their rosters and like do a lot of controversial shit that that kind of messes with the viewing of the esports during the non-international, because they're trying to go after the big prize. Like just making it to the international guarantees you like way more money than you ever could in any of the other tournaments. And so a lot of people think that they should take some of that money and distribute it to some of the tournaments throughout the year, and that would be a better use of the money instead of putting it all into this one big tournament. But it's they are saying that they're going to change it in the future, but they haven't announced how they're going to do that yet. So
like,
at least they've acknowledged
leftovers from Golden Corral. You know, you don't just stuff yourself right there to where you have to go to the hospital. You take it home in the fridge.
What?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I get it. And if you've been to a Golden Corral, you're like, I'm going to get 5 steaks. I'm not going to eat them all now.
Or you get kicked out at some point.
Oh my
but,
God.
You know. And then last but not least, the other bit of Dota news that I want to share. There's a really big Dota streamer, arguably one of the biggest. His name's Gork, Gorgc. He's my favorite Dota streamer, and in this big tournament, right? Not only do they invite teams, but anybody and their mom could build a team and they could enter into the open qualifiers. And you basically play a lot of games basically to have a tiny chance of making it to a regional qualifier where you can then qualify for the international, which is pretty cool because one of the teams last year that went really far came from an open qualifier. Wow. So one of my favorite streamers, he partnered with a couple really good players, some former pros, and they actually qualified for the regional qualifiers together. So it's pretty hype because you have to play, like, so it starts with like thousands of teams, which is like 5,000 competitors. And so his team, they do 2 days of this, 2 rounds of this. So he lost in the first round, and then the second round, after winning 12 best of 1 games, that means you lose 1 game and you're out, which is pretty volatile. Volatile as in like I mean, like you could have 1 bad game and you're out. So right. It's pretty crazy. And in the later rounds, the teams that you're playing against are really good. And then his team won 2 best of 3 games, and so now they're locked in for the regional qualifiers. So it's pretty hype for me to see a streamer play on the same stage as a lot of pros.
But he has pros on his team, right?
He has a couple former pros. They're like retired and stuff. So it's kind of like cool. A moonshot, right? So just, you know, somebody who a lot of people cheer for. And he did this all kind of while streaming. He put a little bit of a delay on, but yeah, it's pretty hype.
I'm sure the people that were like fans of those retired pros are enjoying it, like watching.
Can you imagine like fighting your way through this and just making it to the tournament guarantees you like $100,000. That's like for 18th place at a tournament. You get like $100,000. That's like life-changing money if you think about it.
Well, yeah, it can be depending on your financial situation.
I mean, all for playing what, like 2 days worth of Dota, which he already does because he streams. So
Right. Well, I mean, how many days? How long does it take to get that in?
I think quite a while. But so I don't know. It's super cool.
How many hours do you have in Dota, Reed?
Oh God, let me look.
It's probably more than I have in
I want to hear
Siege.
an honest answer here.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna have you guys guess. Where is Dota? Dota's gone. It disappeared.
What do you think, Jeremy?
Under
20,000?
yeah, it's under 20,000. I'm gonna say he's probably close to 1,000.
That's it?
Do you know how much 20,000 is?
So yeah, I don't even have 1,000 hours in Siege.
Yeah. Like okay, so as a little bit of context, let me find.
Somebody asked
Elder-
Shroud how many hours he had in,
So Elder-
in Rainbow Six.
So as some context, I have 219 hours in Skyrim and 12 hours in Skyrim Special Edition. And where's VR?
We have how many in Skyrim?
And then 35 in Skyrim VR. So 35 plus 12 is 47. So 266 hours in Skyrim across all the different versions.
What about
266.
Dota?
Yes, I mean I'm saying.
Well,
So
he's-
that's
okay.
context. I have 266 hours in Skyrim.
I'm saying he has more than 3,000 hours, Jeremy.
I'm gonna say he's close to like 500.
I'm gonna go with 7,000, Reed.
Okay.
He's just going as high as he can.
No,
3,408 hours in Dota.
Jesus Christ!
I was
And that's
close the
not
first time.
And I've watched probably at least 150%
Do you
of that amount.
do you work?
I mean, I try, I guess. I have a job, if that's what you're asking. Now, keep in mind, this is I
Dota
started
is work, Jeremy.
2013.
Dota is love. Dota is life.
Let's see, how much? Oh God, do I even want to do this? I'm scared to do the math on this. 3,408.
We need to move on because we've been talking about Dota for 10 fucking minutes now.
That's 142 days. I've spent 142 days in Dota.
Well, it's not even a year, Reed, so you're just a baby.
We've talked about more Dota than I've ever wanted to talk about in my entire life. We're moving
Okay.
on.
that's
I guess
fair.
how many hours Shroud has in Rainbow Six or in Counter Strike.
Counter Strike?
Yeah.
Probably double me. So I'm gonna say 10,000.
30.
30? I guess he's a pro, so he has to play like 8 hours a day every day.
Yeah, no, he's a
That kind
he's a
of
professional player.
But somebody asked him on stream and he said like, yeah. But you know they asked him why how's your muscle memory so good? How's your aim so good? I've got 30,000 hours in that one game.
He's a professional player. Like it's his
So
job.
it makes you wonder like if that's similar for all the other like pros and
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. Like I said, that's literally their job. They wake up like it's not like you or me where you know you wake up and you go to school or you wake up and you go to work. They wake up, and when they clock in is when they launch the game.
That's
A lot of them will
1,250 days. 30,000 hours is 1,250 days divided by 365. That's
like 4 years.
3.5 years. 3.42 years.
I
Of
believe
just
it.
one game. So I mean, if you want to get like what it takes to get
That's what it takes to
pro
be a
in
pro.
context.
Reed, I think that you've actually played more Dota than I've played any of my games on Steam collectively.
Yeah, me too. Well,
Collectively?
Yeah,
Oh God.
and I play a lot of fucking games.
Yeah.
No, my highest played game is Team Fortress 2 at like just shy of or just a little over 400 hours.
That's a yikes for me.
Yeah.
Like, for as much Dota as I've played, I really should be a lot better.
I don't know.
That's
I
my
mean,
big.
you're just a
That's my
baby.
complaint. Not that I've wasted all that time. It's that I should be better. I should be at least divine.
All right. Now, like I
I
said,
have 350 hours in Skyrim,
All right. Let's.
which beats Reed.
it is now we're
226.
approaching 15 minutes of talking about nothing but Dota.
Let's bring this up again later. I would love to do some study about how much video games we've played.
Skyrim was my biggest one at 350.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll come back to this later.
Moving on. Remedy now owns publishing rights to Alan Wake. So the only thing we want to clarify now that Remedy owns the publishing rights is that we could bring Alan Wake to different platforms if we so choose.
I'd like a new Alan Wake game. I like Alan Wake. It's a good game.
And then there's a really great comment on Reddit that kind of plays into that. Jeremy, you want to read it?
Yep. It's from user Grendis. I'm guessing they do a platform port to cover expenses of updating the engine and to test the waters if fans want a sequel. That's just speculation, though. We have no confirmation as to whether or not that's actually true.
Yep, totally hearsay, but I mean, to me, that sounds more true than
it sounds plausible. That's usually like the first steps for these kinds of things that they're planning on doing on doing a port, and it's something that's a little not controversial is the term I wouldn't use, but like Alan Wake wasn't a massive game.
I feel it wasn't massive, but it was pretty goddamn good.
It was popular.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
I mean, it was. I felt like it was.
I liked it when I played it, but I don't talk to a whole lot of people who are like, you know what game I really like. I really think should come back. Alan fucking Wake. I never hear that from anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think it's meant to be, because a lot of single player games are like that, aren't they?
No. It's like people are crowing for Psychonauts. I mean, really, actually, any Double Fine game people are crowing for. I mean, people when they were making the Dark Souls franchise, people were like begging for it. I know I specifically was asking for the Destroy All Humans franchise to come back, and lo and behold, we got that.
Hey,
they're absolutely.
Maybe Alan Wake was so good, Jeremy. There didn't need to be enough. It was perfect.
Nobody, you could make the perfect.
I don't think that.
You could make the perfect game, and people would absolutely. I don't know. It's just weird to me, right? I'm not saying that Alan Wake is a bad game. I just didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was a cultural juggernaut. Mm-hmm. So it surprises me a little bit.
But I mean, the story was cool. It was a cool game.
I think it was pretty innovative as far as the single player storytelling in that time and in that time frame. And I would like to see, because now with the different techniques and things that are out nowadays, I'd love to see what they could do with the genre again of sort of that single player. It's not like horror, but it's sort of like pseudo horror storytelling. I don't know.
Yeah. As long as they don't have to deal with that fucking ending again. The ending was so goddamn weird.
Spoilers. I haven't played the game yet.
Oh, you haven't played it?
Nope.
The ending's fucking bizarre. I'll tell you that much.
No, it wouldn't be. Yeah. Okay.
Moving on though. Some Pokemon are missing from the Pokedex for Sword and Shield.
The Pokemans?
The Pokemans, and people are not happy about it. I'm not going to give a whole lot of. I mean, I'm not just going to read a whole bunch of comments of people getting mad about it and saying, "Oh, this is bullshit."
I mean, so here's kind of the two takes from what I've seen. Is one, in every Pokemon game, like first of all, Pokemon is kind of designed to be almost like a completionist bait. Like your whole point is you got to catch them all. You want to get every Pokemon into your game. And not every Pokemon game has had it before, but you could trade in previous Pokemon from previous generations. Well, now you can't do that anymore. And
well, you can for some games, but not for other, or for some.
But for the new game, you can.
Correct.
So that's going to take what has essentially been a core gameplay element of the franchise away. However, I think the counter argument is it's kind of good because it's almost kind of like a reset on the franchise. To kind of, instead of something always being about like trading in stuff, it's going to be about how you play this game specifically, and that's going to be a major determining factor. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yep. So let's go ahead and have a look at the message here. So a message for Pokemon video game fans. Please see below for a message from Mr. Junichi Masuda of Game Freak, the producer of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Thank you to all our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared the news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope that you will look forward to joining us on this new journey. June 28, 2019, Junichi Masuda. So yeah, that's the statement they made regarding it. A lot of people, like I said, are upset that we're not going to be getting all of the Pokemon, but I can definitely see, like you were saying, Reed, that it's kind of stepping into a new era and taking a different focus. And I can appreciate that from that perspective. But again, I can also understand why people are mad, because it is changing. It's like the conversation we went to before. They're making a major change to the franchise that they've never done before, and you're gonna have people that are upset that they changed something that people had enjoyed for a really long time. It's exactly like the Fallout 76 stuff we were talking about earlier.
So when I bought Tekken 7, Lei Wulong was not in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so upset, and they ended up adding him with the DLC Season 2, but it was too late. I had already written a letter of my disapproval, because he was my favorite character, to not only to Steam when I requested my refund after I beat the game in 5 hours.
Wait, hold
but,
up. You requested a refund.
And then and then I don't know, I sent a letter to whoever makes the game too. I was pissed. I was so pissed, because that game was something I played as a kid, all the way through all the Tekkens. Played all. And he wasn't in it until Season 2, and then they brought him out in Season 2. But it was, I don't know, that's what the Pokemon is. When there's a character that's heartfelt and loved that people like, and then it disappears.
I just like the fact that you wrote a strongly worded letter.
Oh yeah, I was so pissed.
Yeah. So, I mean, from that perspective, you can definitely see why somebody would be upset about this.
But in reality, it's their game. I shouldn't have wrote the letter. It's their game. They can do what they want with it.
Sure, but I mean, as a consumer, I think you have every right to be upset and to make your concern noted.
I was pissed because they didn't advertise it, because I wouldn't have bought it. I wasn't really pissed at them for making it that way. I was pissed that they didn't tell me before I purchased it.
I mean, I guess that's not really something that you advertise, though. You don't come out and say oh, by the way, we're not having these characters on the roster. You just release the game and it has the roster that it has.
Well, it makes me wonder how many people wouldn't have bought it that are like me if they would have known.
Sure. I don't know.
Felt like they were trying to pull the wool over my sheep's eyes.
That was a full bottle of wine.
Yeah, what about it?
That was a full bottle of wine.
Was it? No, it was here.
Oh, was it?
Matt
mustache.
In a house with Matt? No way.
Okay.
Not this. Not
other Matt.
Which way am I? This
He's
way?
not drinking all of it, Jeremy. His mustache is getting so.
He's hydrating his mustache.
I don't know which. No, other way. It's not that Matt. It's a different Matt.
It's a different Matt.
This Matt is fine. It's the other Matt that you have to worry about.
Oh my god.
How many Matts are there?
There's many Matts.
There's 2 Matts. Let's
go ahead and move on to our other big topic. I think we're just about, we're more or less there.
Oh yeah, we need to move along.
So I know.
Do you like the way I wrote this?
I do like. I do like that. I'll go ahead.
Spelled it like you did.
Dad. I'll go ahead and I'll just read the title that Reed has given this. Mordhau 2 Racist Boogaloo. So, are you guys familiar with the with the community problems that are plaguing Mordhau right now?
I'm not. I'm familiar with the game. Play, but not with the communities.
I am only familiar with how did that title go? It says, and I quote, "Rampant racism and toxicity are driving players away from Mordhau."
Yeah. Actually, I want to start with the fact that this title is absolutely fucking fake news.
Aren't all the characters white in Mordhau?
Yes, all the characters are white in Mordhau because it is.
Are they men?
They are. They are only men.
White men. You hear that, people? Does it get any more sexist and racist?
But I want to start with the title.
White men running around killing each other. So.
I want to start with the title and explain why it's bullshit. Because they're saying that rampant racism and toxicity are driving players from Mordhau, and the reason they cite that is because Mordhau has seen since its launch a 90 something. Let me pull up the article itself, and I'll give you the details. But it's continue. Yes. Oh, they're not even going to give a player base drop. So the Mordhau itself has received a pretty significant player drop at around 90% from its peak. But the thing is, this is a new game, and that is extraordinarily common to see in new games. Is 90+% player count drop after the game comes out, because you have
it's like artifact levels.
No, that's not. Well, that is artifact levels because that's what's to be expected from a game, from any game, is to have massive player drops after the opening couple of months, because you have the majority of you have a whole bunch of people who buy it because it's a brand new game and they want to see what it's like. And most people are not going to like it. That's just how games work.
I mean, yeah, it varies from situation to situation. Some of them peak high and then level off somewhere in the middle. 90 is pretty rough, though.
No, it's
right?
sitting right up there with The Witcher 3 drop off. Like, hold on just for a second. So, Mordhau player counts. So on Steam charts, all-time peak is at 60,204 players. That's the highest amount of concurrent players at one time. The current 24-hour peak as of today is 12,028 players, which is a strong player count, right? Meanwhile, let's look at something.
It's not like a giant.
Right, it's not a giant, but it's a strong player count.
It's like typical for your average game.
That game almost didn't happen, right?
Yeah, it almost didn't happen.
Forever.
Dark Souls 3 player count. Let's look at Dark Souls 3 for another example. So Dark Souls 3, their all-time peak is 129,831 for an all-time peak. Their 24-hour peak currently is at 13,323. I would not call Dark Souls 3...
That's a 90%.
Yeah, I would not call Dark Souls 3 a dead game.
I'd like to see like monthly numbers.
I would like
quarterly numbers.
Yeah, because the frame is a little bit different. Because
sure.
I mean, Dark Souls 3 has been out for a really long time.
Sure.
To drop 90% is.
Give me a game that's more recent then, or that's within the same time frame.
What came out around Mordhau?
Nothing good.
No, that came out before it.
Actually,
what about?
Let me just scroll down here to the bottom here. So Dark Souls 3, when it came out, April 2016, it had its big boom at 129,831 when the game first came out. The following month, it had a drop of 45,822.8 players, so 61.78% drop. Mordhau has experienced its largest drop was at 54.55% players, player drop in its first month.
Okay, so
That's pretty big for first month, maybe.
Is this the
No,
what
that's-
they're framing their article on? Like,
That is what they're framing on their article, and they're saying that because it's had a massive player drop because of racism and toxicity.
I mean,
when
are they?
in actuality, it's just a standard. That's just what happens with video games. There's a massive peak when a game comes out. A lot of people realize this game isn't for me, and they stop playing it.
So it's almost like
Are they pointing?
people from Mordhau that want their game to succeed maybe started that rumor so people would come back to the game instead of it just being player drop.
What I want to know is, are they pointing to any other factors as the basis for their article? Like, are the empty servers, long times to find a game? That would be probably the most indicative thing. But those are issues.
I'm gonna jump to one more thing here. So, The Witcher 3, for another example. So it came out May 2015. Had a peak player count at that time at 92,268. It had a 56.06% drop, down to 55.408 players. So again, this is a standard number as far as I'm concerned. Now the reasons that PC Gamer, with their article, rampant racism and toxicity are driving players away from Mordhau. They are stating, as far as I can tell, those are the only explanations they're giving. Is that people?
I mean, you're showing correlation to other games, but there's no way to really know if you ask them their games plays.
That's what I'm saying. If they don't have any other evidence to back up their claim, it does sound like a misrepresentation of the facts. I mean, that's not to say that what the issues that they're talking about aren't true, but to make the claim that it's driving people away in droves. I mean, that's not an exact quote, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? The idea, that is the idea that they're presenting, right? Is that the problems in these games are causing this to happen.
Yeah.
How much racism can there be in an all-white player character game? I mean, are they like running around calling each other like?
To be fair, I will. I'm not going to deny that there is a bit of a racism problem in the game, because the game itself has a lot of crossover with Chivalry's players.
Yeah.
And Chivalry is very much a 4chan game.
Yeah. Well, even in any game, right? Like I was playing. I mean, any game like that you play nowadays has those risks. Like I was playing a game of Dota the other night, and people kept on dropping the N-word, and they're like, I mean, this is on the enemy team in all chat, and they had a pretty good attitude. We had a couple pauses on both sides, and both teams were being pretty respectful, and we were being pretty jovial about the whole thing. And I said, hey man, I like your attitude, but I mean, you gotta stop this, or I will report you. You know what I mean? So I think that there's some people that just casually use racism in games.
Yeah.
And like he asked me in game, he's like, "Are you black?" And I said, "I might." Or, like I texted him.
Bitch, I might be.
I said, I might be. That doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't say it so contentiously. I was like, "Hey man, I might be." You know.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, have you ever turned the audio on when you're in the fight in PUBG?
Oh god.
I mean, how many times do you hear the N-bomb drop on that?
Yeah.
It's
absolutely. It is
12-year-olds doing things they're not supposed to do.
It is part of it is part of
same thing with Call of Duty back in the day.
Yeah, it's that but that falls back to the whole, I mean, anonymity over the internet is going to cause people to say whatever the fuck they feel like saying. You just I mean, you can't avoid that. You can implement a chat filter, which is what this article is demanding.
Yeah, they should.
And I have no problem with a chat filter. And as a matter of fact, the statement that Triturnion.
Oh no, that death! Oh yikes!
I know, it's bad.
I watched that happen in real time.
The statement that Triturnion has put out is says the article says the toxic community will be addressed. Triturnion says, the toxic community will be addressed. Triturnion says, but No plan to deal with racism in chat and on the forums has been proposed. At the moment, we are stretched thin with major important content additions, the statement reads, and unfortunately we do not have the staff nor systems in place to moderate everything to our intended level of standards.
One of the important content additions are player characters of color.
Well, that's actually one of the things that they have said, is that Triturnian does have intentions on adding both other races and women to the game as a playable options. But what they've also stated is they want to implement a toggle. Or what it says here, Triturnian has published a statement reiterating that it won't. This is actually from here. This is Triturnian has published a statement reiterating that it won't be adding an option to toggle off non-white and female characters. Two developers told us this feature was a possibility, but Triturnian is now calling it a misunderstanding, placing the blame on a lack of PR experience and answering some questions in a misleading way. A gender toggle was apparently discussed, however, the studios claim that this idea was dismissed because it would undermine player customization. The two members of the studio we spoke with were apparently not informed about this, but despite the team being small, there are only 11 of them, and the idea being thrown out shortly after launch.
That almost sounds like almost as bad of a PR nightmare as fucking
yeah,
as doing an AMA on 8chan.
So what the original statement had been is they said that female and characters of color would be added, but there would be a toggle so you wouldn't. So if you wanted an exclusively historically accurate, basically the game takes place in Europe, and at that point in time.
Yeah.
There were not women and black combatants in.
Well, there were black combatants.
No, I mean, here's my take. Honestly, I don't.
Like Grail Crusades times.
My hot take, right? I mean, it's cool if you add inclusivity in games. I don't drag Battlefield 5 for doing that in their game, being historically accurate. If you don't do that to your game, that's cool. I would as far as like the actual problems of the game, having a better report system or a better ban system for people who are being bad, that to me gains me a lot more trust and belief in the community than adding inclusivity into the game after the fact. Like what? Just because I'm playing a black guy now, I'm gonna be less racist?
Well,
that's not how that works. I mean, because the real problem isn't the fact that there's not female characters or there's not black characters or transgender characters or gay characters. It's the fact that the players themselves are being toxic.
The reason that was brought up was because PC Gamer in their article specifically had said you are racist and sexist because there are no PC.
We've already established that their journalism is spotty in this instance at best.
But
they sound like they're drunk.
But as I said, Triturnian is already working on implementing, a racism, basically a chat filter, and they're working on getting a better
punish those motherfuckers
and getting a better report system, but they haven't implemented it because they're more focused on getting the game in a working function right now. The game is very
like systems that like monitor the audio, monitor the chats, and then just ban for them.
God, they don't even have that in Dota. I wish they did.
Yeah, the game is very bare bones as is and needs a lot of work, which is why they haven't focused on these things yet.
Yeah, I figured that's what it was. I mean, they've got one type of character.
What they need to do is they need to hire additional staff to work on both of the. I mean, realistically, that's what they should do. They should hire additional staff to.
Well, I know. My thing is, I don't think
it would be a big deal if there wasn't so much contention.
I agree. I don't think it's their obligation to make that a priority. Why
not make it a priority? I mean, if they really cared.
Because there's more important functions right now. It's not just as simple as okay, we're just flick on the anti-racism switch and there you go. a
It
whole.
takes work, and that's what I'm saying is they need to invest.
I am more
Was
interested.
in Northern Africa, and all the player characters that you could choose from were black. Nobody would be saying anything.
I mean, I agree with that sentiment, but I want to finish my point that it is not their obligation to make you and other people who are offended by this happy. I completely understand why people are upset about that, and they have every right to ask, but it's not their responsibility to change the game to fit your sensibilities.
No, I don't. No, Jeremy, you're misunderstanding me. I don't care about the. No, I wasn't talking about adding those characters. I'm saying get another team to implement the chat functions. Like
Yeah.
The
I'm
better
saying
report system. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying
Yeah,
they
they
have decided that the gameplay features, getting the game, making the game fun, and adding more features to the game, is a more important factor to them right now than implementing a racism filter. And they have every right to do that. It is not their responsibility to ensure that that journalists are not offended by things over making the game a more functional piece of entertainment.
Maybe they're
fuck
maybe
the journalism. I don't give a shit about even a chat ban or whatnot. But me as a player, if people are being assholes, or being racist in games, if a game has a strong approach to fixing that, that means a lot more to me than than a lot of different things. You know what I mean? If they really want to make the game better, I can understand it. But the fact that they're just gonna they don't want to put any effort into dealing with that, it tells me a little where their priorities lie a little bit.
That's foundationally untrue. That's a complete misrepresentation. They've already said that is on the list, but they don't have enough resources to make that happen right this second.
That's why I'm saying hire more people. Instead of
resources includes money, Reed.
I mean, Mordhau sold how many copies? How much was the game?
A fucking lot, but...
And how much was that game worth when it sold those copies? It was $60 per copy, right?
$30, I believe.
Yeah, but you don't know,
$30 times what? Maybe $500,000 in sales. So that's
according to
$1.5 million after taxes. Let's say $500,000. I think for $100,000, you could hire a team of developers to basically implement basic report and ban functionality.
Maybe, but you don't know what the company's financial situation.
I
mean, I have a little bit of an inkling, right, based on the sales numbers.
That was absolutely not a $500,000, or that was absolutely not 500,000 sales. As I said before, the all-time peak was at player count was at 60,000 players approximately.
I mean, we already know that the game is struggling just to get put out. So
that's still a lot of
net issues.
Yeah, that's still a lot of sales, and that's still a lot of money. But again, as I've stated, ultimately it is not
one developer. You can hire one developer to work on that, right?
It is not their responsibility to make that a priority.
It is though, because they making their game playable, or removing people from their game is making a good gaming environment, right? Isn't that not a part of their job?
I mean,
in what order they choose to do it, though.
In what order they choose to do that, and they've already said they're going to do that. The thing is, it's not their responsibility to prioritize it. It's not their responsibility to make sure that they prioritize the list of things. They're not encouraging it. They're not saying, yeah, you guys should go out. You should say all the shit you want to say. They're saying, yes, it's a problem. Yes, we acknowledge it's a problem. But right now, we need to focus on making the game a functional piece of entertainment.
Then my argument is that if they're not making that a priority, then it shows where their priorities lie. That they
probably have more about their investors.
That is okay, but the problem is that's a very
because the money they've received from investors before they get to that. They probably didn't have a choice.
Okay, I understand that. I'm going to address Matt real quick. I understand what you're saying, Matt, but the ties that argument doesn't hold a lot of water because it's not like you're selling DLC. So it's not like they're creating an additional product. They're creating free content. So that provides no additional revenue to their game except for maybe drawing a few extra people that are holding out on buying the game.
Yeah.
Which in this part of the game's life cycle isn't a lot. So creating free content is more about maintaining your current player base. So,
And the
which
only
they
reason we're
gain
having
no,
this
they gain no
conversation-
money from.
Yeah. And the only reason we're having this conversation is because they didn't go into detail about why. They
I
didn't say why it's on the back burner.
They did,
We have to
though.
do it first.
Yeah.
No. I understand they said we have to do these things first, but they didn't say why we have to.
so why does dealing with toxic people in a game less important than adding extra content to a game? That's the real question here.
Well,
I
there's a lot of
disagree
behind the
with this
scenes
article's journalism,
Yeah, definitely.
but I kind of understand what they're getting after. I see the problems that they're pointing out. If it was me, I would much rather, because the reason why this is important to me is not because I want Mordhau's gaming community to be really good, but because I feel like a lot of times, I feel that our old, like, they're a corner, they're like a part of the entire gaming community, and how we treat racism and different things like that, how we allow that to be in our games, says a lot about us as gamers. And the fact that we're like, well, it's always been there. That's like such a backwards ass way of thinking about gaming. And I think that if we really want to be the people that we say we are, and that, like, Jeremy, I know you're not racist, Matt, I know you're absolutely not racist.
But you're that's the problem. You're directly, even you saying that, you're directly implying it when you say that you're not actively opposing racism with your every fiber of your being and every breath you take.
I'm saying make an effort. I'm not
shows where your priority lies. That's what that tells me is. I'm saying one thing. I'm saying, oh, you're not racist, but secretly I believe it. Secretly I think you're racist.
That's a misquote, Jeremy, and you know it. What I'm saying is, because they're not making an effort, I'm saying it shows where their priorities lie. They may not be a racist, but for them, fixing racism in gaming culture isn't as important to them as it is to me.
Well, now you're
To me,
misquoting
fixing
me
that-
because they said they were going to make an effort. It's just they have to do other things first, and then that effort will be made.
But they don't
Yeah.
have to do those things first. I'm saying,
Well, they said
Right, and they said that is so on a fundamental
They just didn't say why they had to.
on a literal statement. Yes, that shows where their priority lies. It shows that they are more interested in making a more fun game than they are fixing the toxicity in their community right now. I will
And
agree
there's
with you
a
on
reason
that.
for that,
But the
they didn't
problem
say why.
is. But the problem is that the way that you're framing this very much speaks to a judgmental tone that you think that they're complicit, that they're fine with racism because of that. That
I'm
is
just saying
that is the
it would take
implication.
it would take a reasonable amount of effort, right? They hire
And
one
they're
developer.
making it.
But that's
I mean, but they're not. They're not making it right now. They're just punting it down the road. You know what I mean? Because they're focusing on working on the game. I'm saying
You think
the
it
amount
should
of
be
effort.
number
But
one
you-
priority.
No, but I'm saying
But
they can
that's
make a
kinda what
token.
you are
that's kind of what you are saying, Reed.
Okay, I think it should be their number one priority. I can understand if they don't want it. Like, maybe they want to focus on a major update for the game, but the fact that they're not doing anything right now.
It's also they're already in the middle of stuff, Reed. They can't drop what they were in the middle of to do it.
I'm saying.
Because they have
Again,
stuff
you
lined
still
up.
have you still
Why
haven't
can't you- I'm
addressed.
saying, why can't you hire like one person?
You
Like,
still
a
haven't.
token effort.
You'd
You
have to
still
ask
haven't
maybe they
addre-
have the money. I don't know.
But here's the thing: is, I mean,
You still haven't addressed my initial point. My initial question.
if they don't have the money, then
We're all
like,
speculating. Here.
Why you
didn't
still haven't addressed
address
my initial point though, Reed, which is why is it their responsibility to prioritize things in a way that pleases you and pleases PC Gamer? Why is it their responsibility to change their entire workflow to make you happy?
okay, let me rephrase that. Why is it important that they put in an effort to remove racism and toxicity from the gaming community?
No. That's absolutely disingenuous, and you know it. They're not.
But I mean, let's change. I mean, that's what you said. Why is it important that they make me happy? They could piss me off. I really don't care. It's the principle of what I want them to work on. You know what I mean? If they work on the principle that I care about, but make me unhappy in the process, then I think that is better than them focus. I mean, trying to make this about me, I think, is a little bit of a straw man. You know what I'm saying, Jeremy?
But what I'm saying is that it seems like the only situation in which you will accept that they are not that they're not complicit to racism is if they put everything else on hold. And
No, that is literally wrong. I said as long as they make a token effort. I've said that multiple times during this discussion. Is that they make a token effort. They hire one guy, one junior developer.
But isn't that almost disingenuous if it's not going to do anything?
Yeah.
You can't get accomplished with one guy.
It's
insulting.
I disagree because in my opinion, I feel like the issue itself has a very reasonable solution. They can work on developing. Those tools I feel are pretty attainable. Very low investment.
Disagree. So we've already seen. Let me
map out investment for you. So like, if you get an outside investor, they require you to actually create a budget of how that money's going to be spent with a timeline.
Okay.
And so it's possible that the racism filter stuff is on that timeline, but for those investors to give them that money, that budget had to be signed off on, and it has to be done in order. And they didn't specify anywhere.
I mean that's possible, but it could also.
We're arguing here about.
But it could also go the other way. I mean, they may not be on a timetable.
Why aren't they doing it later? Well, they didn't specify why they are putting it on the back burner and figuring other things first.
Okay.
And that's the whole reason why. But all we're doing here is
there's a million reasons why they could be doing it, why they could not be doing it. All I'm saying is it would mean a lot more if they put in a token effort.
And I think that speaks to your character. I mean, that's good that you think that it should be like number one.
No, to me personally, I think it'd be number one. And this is what I've been getting at. I feel so misrepresented and a little bit maligned, honestly, by some of the statements. Is that
but you can't
I don't know. I don't think me personally, I feel like it should be number one. But I would understand if it wasn't number one, as long as they put forth an effort, and they're not putting forth any effort immediately.
As far as
if they put forth any effort at all immediately or concurrently with their other efforts.
But I think that's.
And you can't vilify them without knowing why.
But I mean, I feel like if they're not communicating, if that's the case, then they're doing a very poor job of communicating that. You know what I mean?
And maybe that's a bad PR move.
And that's fine, but I almost feel like that's kind of a little bit of like apologizing for well, they're trying to do it, but they can't. You know, I mean, I just feel a lot of explanations and excuses for their behavior for somebody that's not them. Like they're not excusing any of it. I don't know. That's my take. I disagree with the article as a whole. I feel like it completely misrepresents them. My only argument.
It's what do you guys call that when something stirs things up without any explanations in the gaming community? What is it called?
Gaming journalism.
You call it something where like it's people fired up.
It's
the article doesn't give any details.
It's just all of gaming journalism is what you're describing.
It's like bait. It's I don't know.
That's what it's bait something.
It's something baiting.
Rage bait or something.
Rage.
Like that.
Yes,
we're getting pretty close to the end of the podcast, so
I mean,
about that article.
I ultimately disagree with your perspective. I think that I think that they have every right to prioritize things however they want, and it doesn't make them lesser people for not prioritizing this thing right now.
And again, Jeremy, I'm not disagreeing with you. You keep saying that I want them to prioritize it number one. I don't want them to.
But that's what you explicitly said. That's explicitly.
I said that's my personal opinion. I think that's what they should.
And that's what I'm.
Have I said this, Matt? Please, have I said that multiple times?
It's like you guys are talking to each other, but neither one is like. I don't know. You're just like chasing each other around a tree.
Matt, is there something that I'm not understanding here?
I don't know. I mean, I think that you both feel like Jeremy feels like they
Please
should
be a marriage counselor,
which he is right. So you can't argue that somebody's opinion is right. I just wish everybody's entitled.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not arguing.
You guys are. But you guys
I just wish Jeremy would
against...
quit saying that that I think that should be that needs to be the number one priority.
Well, maybe that's how he perceives it.
So that's what I'm getting out of this.
But it doesn't mean that which maybe you feel misrepresents him, but that's how he perceives it, and he don't think he means anything by it. And I don't think you mean anything the opposite. It's just opinions are hard, but it doesn't mean that we have to.
No, I don't. No, it's far from that. I just feel like Jeremy's not understanding me. That hurts me inside.
He might not be, but that's okay.
Maybe I'm not. I don't. from my perspective, what it seems like is that your only win condition here is if they drop everything right now. And well, you've said that if they make a token effort, I'll
thank you. That's what I want. That's what I want.
I think
that's all I want. That's what I want.
Hold on.
I don't care.
Hold on. Hold on. Because I would rather them do a real fix than just, oh yeah, no, we threw like $20 at it and there you go, you're good now. No, we did it, boys. Racism is no more. I would much rather them focus on it when they have and do it in a way that is going to satisfy the problems that exist and not be just some ham-fisted, oh yeah, there you go. And we've already seen what lazy chat filters to combat racism look like. It's Rainbow Six
in Rainbow Six Siege, yeah.
Yes, Rainbow Six Siege. It's
what happened with that? I'm not familiar with that.
So Rainbow Six Siege's chat filter was basically instead of like taking anything. Taking into account like any possible context, because there are racial terms that under certain contexts are not racist. The big example that I remember is somebody who basically, if people from Pakistan will describe themselves as Paki. The example that I remember on Reddit was somebody's like, I got banned for saying my nationality. Somebody asked me where I was from. I said I'm Paki, and I got banned.
Yeah.
And if you implement these lazy chat filters, all you're going to do is alienate your audience. And yes, it's going to satisfy the progressive stack journalists who are only really interested in outrage bait and generating controversy, but. Yeah. Ultimately, your core audience is just going to get frustrated because now all they have is they had to find workarounds for explaining basic concepts.
Right. Yeah.
So throwing it
that I feel is a good argument. Like, yes, Jeremy, that I think is a good counterpoint to what I was saying.
So ultimately, like, just throwing in a token effort isn't going to do it. They need, if they want to implement a chat filter, which it sounds like they do, they need to put real thought into it, not just throw an intern at it.
Okay.
I'd be willing to bet it's already in their budget and planned out. Like,
they've explicitly said it is planned out.
Yeah, we started a little bit late, so we have a little bit extra time, but I feel I understand a bit more of where you're coming from, Jeremy. I think you a little bit better understand what I was saying, and maybe we can pick this discussion up later. But I think we might want to hit a couple last quick things before we end the stream.
I was sure. Bloodshed.
That's right. I said it.
This
is a good topic of discussion, but
I said it last week. We're bringing internet blood sports back. I do not care who is right and who is wrong. This is intellectual MMA. That's my best.
God, you're gonna get so much French hate, though.
That's my JF Garrity impersonation.
Nice. I love that. All right. Rapid fire news.
Yeah, rapid fire news. Go read.
Okay. Hey, there was a really great video by the Jimquisition about the addictive costs of predatory video game monetization. Please go watch it.
Boo Jimquisition, but I'll support him in this situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty decent video. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game for the PS4, adds suits from Spider-Man Far From Home. It's kind of cool. Oh god, there's some really cool videos that I wish we could have had time to watch, but maybe next week. There's a cool game trailer for a beat 'em up that had a bitch ass song that was dope as fuck. Shantae 5 gets an official anime opening for the video game made by Studio Trigger, a very popular anime studio. It's super dope. And also, Zachtronics makes their entire library of games free for schools. Who the fuck is Zachtronics? Anyone? No one? Okay. I've never heard of them before. And last but not least, more than 1 million people per month are still playing Age of Empires. Why? Why? Also, it's a pretty good game, I kind of understand. But why? Why are you doing this? All right.
It's like asking why people play that.
Oh, and there are some new Xbox Game Pass games that were announced. Go check it out. That concludes all of our topics and whatnot for tonight. Oh, and there's one more. Twitch added a new subscriber-only stream capability so that people who are subscribers can watch your streams. This actually violates a lot of terms of service from some game companies, including Valve, Blizzard, Riot, and CD Projekt Red, which specifically say that you can't monetize streams or things like that as a part of their game. So, boom. All right. That's all the news, boys. Not gonna lie, I feel like honestly this is our best podcast ever.
I agree.
Well, it's number 50, right?
I think we're really funny. Yeah. So look forward to this one being botted out on our YouTube channel. I know we've got a huge backlog, but fuck all those other podcasts. We sucked on those ones anyway. This one rocks ass, and it's gonna be up on YouTube.
Thanks for having me on such a monumental podcast.
Yeah. No, thank you
for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say, dare I say, a cornerstone to the quality of the podcast that we had tonight. So
thanks.
Thank you for being here. I truly
makes my chest hairs feel warm.
I'm just gonna reach over.
Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching the Not Important Gaming Podcast with Jeremy, Reed, and special guest Matt tonight. Our special 50th episode, complete with video, with webcams. I think we're going to be doing this more often. I really like this. I like the setup we got. I finally have an excuse to use my green screen outside of the reviews, which brings me to our plugs. We're here every Saturday night at 8:30 Central Time. Reed, what time is that? Ocean time?
6:30. What up? West side.
6:30. Yep, West Side time. You can also find us on YouTube at Not Important Gaming Podcast. You can also find us at Twitter, and that is at Gaming Important. I'm looking at this, man. We really need. I think I'm gonna see if I can get like a graphic for our.
I have been in talks with an artist about possibly commissioning some artwork for us, so
that would be awesome. Other than that, I think that just about wraps it up for us. So thank you guys so much for watching the Not Important Gaming Podcast, and you guys have a wonderful night.
Love you.